Hello, and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo, and we're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to join Ahuatl with the movie Warehouse. Let's take a look at the clip.
It's called a prostate.
What are you, a booty doctor now?
Proctologist. And it's basic human biology.
Proctodactyl? Is that a new dinosaur?
It's been a pleasure to have you here. I was so happy to have you at our film festival yesterday, and you gave so much wonderful energy. Thank you for being part of the NewFilmmakers LA family, but for those that haven't seen your film, tell us a brief synopsis of Warehouse.
Yeah, so Warehouse is about 4 LGBTQ warehouse workers. And so one day they show up to work and they learn that they're being called into the office with the human resources manager. And throughout the day, they learned that because they started a petition calling for gender-neutral restrooms, some of them get fired and one of them does not. So the main character, Alan, has to decide, do I stick together with my friends and stand up for workers' rights? Or do I take a job promotion and pursue my own career aspirations? It's actually a comedy, so it's funny.
Yeah, you know the most amazing thing is you had such vibrant. I love the colors. I love the design. It was so like vibrant and colorful to look at. I love the characters you created, and yet it was set around. It's a comedy, but it was set around a subject that we're all kind of talking about, particularly in this part of the world as well. So I'm so glad you shared this story, but you brought a lot of light, but a lot of realism through these characters. How did you know you wanted to make this film? When was that moment, and obviously make this film into style of a comedy, which you would have normally seen?
Yeah, it's gosh, I want to give you a short answer. So I was born and raised here in LA, born not too far away from here in Boyle Heights. So I grew up at a time where there was a Republican governor, Pete Wilson, who was really going out of his way to make it illegal, prevent people of color, specifically Mexicans, Latinos, to access health and human resources. Mm-hmm. So when I was 5 years old, we had bilingual education. And then you had these very conservative Republicans who made multilingual education illegal. And so my parents became politically involved. And so growing up with that, I also became politically involved. Long story short, I worked with nonprofits on over 200 pieces of legislation to fight for freedom, justice, and equity. And one of the campaigns that I worked on was to help warehouse workers improve their working conditions. Fast forward to 2020 and COVID hits, everything shuts down. I think we were all there, and I just really got to thinking, what am I doing with myself? Am I doing, I've been doing this political stuff, I've been throughout the country and doing this great work, but for me, I really felt that my passion was always creatively in the performing arts, in TV and film. And so I started making short films, the first one being Warehouse.
I can't believe that's your third. I'm like, what?
Oh, gosh.
Amazing, good job.
I look at it now and I'm like, oh gosh, I had no idea what I was doing. My background is in public policy, PR, public relations, government affairs. And so at a very young age, I don't know if my parents are a little bit weird, so I feel like everyone's parents like, oh, my son's gonna be a doctor, or he's gonna be an astronaut. My parents were like, he's gonna run for office. And I was like, I guess I am. And so for many years, it was engraved in me that I was gonna run for office. And in fact, in 2020 was the year for me to decide whether or not I was gonna run for the state legislature for a state assembly member. And someone who I helped elect in a district was terming out, and that was really the time for me to decide. And so I was like, am I gonna run for office or am I gonna make films? And here we are today. I didn't run for office, but yeah, so I forgot the question.
No, honestly, listen, thirsty, thank you for all the things that you fought for. Like, this is amazing, it's important work, it's significant work, and it's recognizing people in our everyday lives surround us by right now that don't get the same rights. And so thank you so much for what you've done. I think you can do both. Like, honestly, make films, run, like, come on, we're in Los Angeles.
Have y'all seen House of Cards?
Oh, I know, it's awful. I know, not to mention who the actual actor is, but yeah, exactly. So,
well,
yeah.
Maybe don't watch it then.
Yeah, don't watch it. But no, I'm kidding.
No, there's a ton of great stuff on Netflix. There's a ton of great shows out there. And there is some truth in some of these political shows. But, you know, there are a lot of facets of society that there's still corruption, there's still unfairness, there's still inequality, and, you know, we've made a lot of progress. When I was in high school, when I was a kid, just the idea of marrying the person that I loved, being openly gay and marrying my partner was just unimaginable. Like, I tried to look at the future and I was like, well, maybe we'll be closeted our entire lives. And then I remember driving back from Vegas on a family trip and seeing the newspaper of the landmark court decision that made it so that intimate relationships between gay men was no longer illegal. So Texas had anti-LGBTQ laws, anti-sodomy laws, and this was 2003. What were you doing in 2003? I think 2002, actually. And so that really, it sparked in me this idea, well, maybe we can. And so I was at the Naval Academy, was it 2004, when we were protesting Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And so I thought, I was like, this is where I die, at the Naval Academy in Maryland, in Annapolis, Maryland. These Marines, these midshipmen are gonna beat us up. And so we were like going in there, like, get rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. We're walking in, I'm a baby gay, and they let us in. They're like, but they were told, the Naval Academy students were told not to talk to us. So everyone that talked to us got in trouble. And I'm sure there was some hazing involved. And so in these 20 years, we've made huge leaps, but at the same time, you know.
So much more to do, and we've also attracted in certain areas too. And you know, what's fascinating about all of those stories and where we were then and where we are today and where we're almost going back in some respects today in the LGBT+ community is also that, you know, with going back to Warehouse in your film, you know, it was comedy.
What we're here to talk about.
It was comedy, but at the same time, it's significant to what is experienced today, you know, particularly in communities here in Los Angeles and around the United States and around the world specifically as well. So, you know, I love how you've kind of almost mixed the activism, but made this film. You know, I really loved the characters that you brought to light. You know, it's always nice because I often think that, again, even in the queer community, you know, me being part of that community, you don't, it's very unfairly, it's very kind of, you know, white gay men driven as well. And I think, you know, it was so beautiful to see these wonderful characters come to light with just their freedom of makeup and expression and love and enlightenment. And even though the world's not like that, it was great to see these characters come to life.
Yeah, it's so odd for me when I tune in to something, when I see something on the big screen or television, and it's very homogenous. It's very counterintuitive for me because I feel very privileged when I've lived both here in LA and the East Coast that I have a diverse group of friends. And so when you grew up in a big city, when you live in a big city, you are able to immerse yourself with different languages, different cultures, you know, speaking different languages. And so I really try to bring that into the stories because it's just intuitive. One of the things that I've sort of, the challenge that I have with short films is after 5 characters, it's just, it gets too crowded. And so thinking of our villain in our short film, like everyone who is sort of, the 4 main characters are either transmasculine or, you know, male, cisgender, and then the unconventional bad guy is a HR woman, white, cisgender, straight. And so she's not an evil person because she decided to be evil, but because she has this directive from abracadabra.
Yeah.
So you can figure out what abracadabra is.
Yeah, people, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I like playing with that. It's not super subversive, but it really encourages to people to really think about like, who are these bad people, and why are they doing what they're doing? And in her mind, she's just doing her job.
Yeah.
She doesn't. And so it becomes a challenge when you're doing a short film to be as inclusive as you can.
I just actually, I think, just also want to say, just what's so great as a storyteller that you've done and done in your own professional, in your own self, is you challenge the narrative. Is that something in your filmmaking that you want to continue to do?
Yeah, for sure. So 2 things that I want to share really quick is yes, let's be inclusive and be as sort of diverse in the characters and the actors in front of the screen, but I think it's so pivotal to have that representation and diversity behind the screen. And so that's why I have that sort of, in the end, the end credits of just like, look at our editor, it's a woman, and look at our assistant editor, and look at our gaffer, our lighting folk. I want to show that yes, there's like 10 people in front of the screen, but there's like 30 people behind it. And what they're doing, I would argue, in some ways, is just so much more important.
And your appreciation of that was so refreshing. It was so nice to see that you recognize there's a lot of people that work on a set, and it was so nice to see that in the end credits.
It's very difficult to get people behind the camera to be in front of the camera.
I know.
No, I don't want to do it. And like my composer, like I've worked with him on 3 short films, and I've only seen him in person like twice. Total hermit, really brilliant guy, super smart, Sean Siegel. And he was actually in London working in Abbey Road.
Famous Abbey Road.
And so working on a huge Amazon film, so kudos to him. And great talented people, editor, producers, but it was really hard to get them to be part of the B-roll. I was glad that we did that. I want to continue doing that. I don't know that we will continue to do that in have the B-roll at the end credits. You had another question about, so I mean, other than the political messages in these films, I think recent UCLA and USC studies revealed that less than 5% of major lead roles in Hollywood films are Latinos. And so it is really intentional. It's not just lack of inclusion, but it's really intentional to exclude Latinos. And we're talking about, like, in California, we make more than 38% of the population, yet we represent less than 5% of the people in the big and small screen. And we're not just talking about, like, there's no such thing as a monolithic Latino identity. We're of different races, cultures, linguistic backgrounds. And so even when you have Latino representation, a lot of those roles are given to, someone who's like playing a Colombian drug lord who is a Welsh actress and is given the role of a Mexican lead. And so there's the unfortunate erasure of indigenous identities. There's an erasure of Afro-Latino identities, and the roles are given to white Latinos and white passing Latinos. And so with my short films, I really want to uplift indigenous Latinos, like brown folk, folk of that ethnic and traditional cultural tradition. And so it's, I mean, you think about it, like we have a Marvel movie now with Xolo, who is a brown Latino and embraces his indigenous heritage, but how many years did it take us to get there?
It took many years, and there's many very talented people out there that we are still yet to see. And so I love that you're changing the narrative for your film, but also bringing awareness to that as well, because we need more of your films and more of the people that you're including in your films. And then you got something very exciting to share about what's coming next. So what is next for you?
So Physical Therapy is about a gay Latino doctor who has to decide between keeping his job working with low-income communities or taking a job working at a private practice for the mega rich. So it's a comedy, it's a buddy comedy, it's a gay Latino character, and we are excited about premiering it next year. So we wrapped that, we finished filming that this past summer. We started submitting it to the film festival circuit, and we're already in development for my next short film, which is a comedy about a gay soccer team. So it's like Ted Lasso meets Mean Girls. It's titled
amazing.
Mean Goals.
Me go-
So it's about an adult recreational soccer team. It's a comedy. We have a screenplay. We have a script, and we're hoping to shoot next spring, and
That's
we're
amazing.
fundraising for that. And we're looking to partner with nonprofits. We're
Yeah.
looking to partner with different organizations
Yeah.
to meet our fundraising goal of $50,000 to shoot our next short film.
Okay, we need 50,000, everybody, okay? All right, or more. All right, listen, thank you so much. This is your first film, then. We're super excited for the next few films you've got coming up, but thank you for being part of us. Thank you for your energy, and welcome to the New Filmmakers family. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.